When we look at self awareness, emotional regulation, and supportive engagement, we find solutions to draw inspiration from within personal experiences. And a lot of times it's really, really important to share those stories. So that's what Emotional Healing Solutions is going to be about today. I thank you all for being here on this podcast with me. I want to share a few scenarios relating to solutions to supportive engagement. I want to ask the question for you to think about: when was the first time you met emotion? When was the first time you met emotion? Now, emotional engagement is something very different. There is no right or wrong in this situation. There's no right or wrong way to look at the engagement, what you recognize, but it is simply based on the definition of what it is. Making emotions triggering. I can recall a time when I met my emotion for the very first time. And then as I matured in life, I began to think, well, why am I triggered by this? Or why am I triggered by that? But because I did not clear or regulate my emotion until years after or decades after, that's when I realized that the emotional meeting happened way before I became triggered. So I want you to think about that as you find your better version this year. I want you to see some engaging solutions that you can project to find your better version in whatever circumstances you're going in. Because every single lesson that you face thereafter, the first initial relationship between you and emotion, every lesson after that is an aftermath to the engagement. So let's get to a few examples of emotional engagement. This can include not taking what people say personally. Just because someone says something to you, it may be triggering, it may be active, and it may even be true. But most times when people tap into emotional regulation, they do not recognize that the person that is speaking really has no idea what they're saying about them personally. So then we become very emotional. We become very self centered. We become triggered and we start to believe that that is how they see us. And sometimes they need to just get something off of their emotion off of their chest. And you're just the voice of reason. You're the voice that, or maybe not even the voice, you are the ear that hears. The second example: seeing outside of subliminal messages and everything. There was a time where I would hear a message, maybe going to the bathroom or, waiting in line or whatever, or at a program or something like that. And people would be talking specifically about something that was emotionally triggering to me, was the connection to the emotional engagement that I already had with myself that I did not work on. And because I didn't work on it, something had to bring it back to the surface for me to project it, for me to heal from it, for me to work on it, or to realize that it was a struggle for me, which is helping us to become our better version, right? So seeing outside of the subliminal messages and everything is very important because it's not something set up specifically for you. So please don't take that personal. Also, make the right decisions to eliminate people who are not part of the same path that you're on. When you find it hard to make a decision about your life, this is where emotional engagement can truly come in and help assist you in realizing who's best for you, who's around you, who's supporting you. Good engagement, positive engagement. But when you have low vibrational frequency, you tend to make the wrong decisions on friends. The friends become abusive, they become detached because you're trying to heal from it it's going to make you pay attention to it. And it's just going to be right there, front and center. So, making the right decisions to eliminate people who are not on the same path you're on will help you to eventually make better decisions when we emotionally engage, when we are positive, when it is a positive, productive thing. The fourth thing is to listen to our inner voice and see people for who they really are. Don't manipulate the circumstance. If you're in a relationship and you know this person is not good for you, or this person is speaking a different language than you, or going down a different perspective from you, emotional engagement is going to trigger you to realize that you don't have anything in common with this individual. And that then puts a spin on how much the attraction is going to be, the relationship is going to be, the chemistry, or even the support. These supportive engagements and these supportive resources that we use on a day to day basis is something that we hold within us that gives us the judgment to believe that this person has within what we need. But really, truthfully, everything is within. So these are solutions that I want you to consider when you're thinking about emotional engagement. And this is before we can heal. This is before we can get into relationships with somebody else without destroying their lives, tearing them down because we're already at a low vibrational frequency. And then that then in turn causes two people to have very strategic negative opportunities that could have been a very beautiful life for both. You want to be smarter. There are traps set, and these traps are going to make that decision of how we meet who we do in this life. And also, don't forget who we meet within the concepts of finding our emotions and how we met our emotion is going to be the triggering result to how people respect us, treat us, see us. And, sometimes when we are on a path that is unique or chosen or strategically designed by the Most High, we don't always have the popularity. And you have to find within that emotional regulation that the popularity does not make you who you are. Anytime you find yourself wasting time and you know that you gave valuable, pertinent information to a force that wasn't hearing it anyway, start making people pay for your time. That is another emotional engagement. Because when you start being respectful of your own time, others will do the same. I'm here. If you like this content or you want to share your story, contact me in the comment box below and we can get you on the show, the podcast. This is our first 2026 podcast of the year. We are super excited. We thank you all for working on the betterment of yourself. This is not for everyone. Again, this is about emotional regulation, supportive engagement by drawing inspiration from personal experiences shared through storytelling. Some of these stories are going to be emotional. We will meet every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can go live or it could be pre recorded, but just know that we are committed to inspiring others to believe that they are worthy of having their story met at a time where they are in need of a friend, of someone who has the experience along with the self value to not take advantage of a person because they're struggling. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Happy New Year. And we will see you next Friday.